from BS Criminology second year student. Today I will discuss the dactyloscopy and allied sciences as well as the layering of skin and epidermis layers and function to support the principle of permanency through desquamation process. Dactyloscopy, it is the science that deals with the study of fingerprints. It was derived from the Greek word dactyl, which means finger, and escopine, which means to examine. So in other words, dactyloscopy, it is defined the examination of fingers. According to research, your fingerprints are a way to prove that you are who you say you are. In other words, it's the best way for a person to have its personal identification. This is commonly used in personal identification documents such as ID, passport, and biometric. Due to the advancement of technology, we are using fingerprint in gadgets such as phones or other fingerprints machine. Fingerprint also used to solve the crime scene to find out who committed the crime. Our fingerprints are made of ridges. Each ridges contain arc, whorl, and loops. First, the arc. It is a wave-like pattern and it's made up 5% of pattern type. It means it's very rare. Secondly, the whorl. It is a tiny whirlpool and a spiral and circular, and it makes up 35% of pattern types. And last, the loop. It is a fringe that curves back and it's divided into two radial loop and ulnar loop. And it makes up the 60% pattern types. This is the reason why two fingers are not identical. These patterns develop and change as you go older. Our fingerprints are said to be oil base that leaves mark due to oil and sweat that present in our body. That produces naturally because our skin contains sebaceous gland which produce oils. Although the fingertips contain few sebaceous glands, the face and head contain many, and people touch their faces, hair often, that transferring oil to the fingertips. In dactyloscopy, there are allied sciences, which are the cases where fingerprints are not available as the evidence against the accused. Hence, other allied sciences like chiroscopy, podoscopy, fluoroscopy, and angioscopy. The chiroscopy is the science which deals the study of fingerprints of palm of the hands. This term was derived from the Greek word chair, which means hands, and escopine, which means to examine. In palm print, we have pattern zone and levels of palm in terms of chiroscopy. The pattern zone are palmar zone, which is the base of our fingerprints. The terminal zone is the large cushion at the base of our thumb. The hypoternar, it refers the large cushion area below the base, the little finger, and the delta colfer zone is the area about the center of the palm near the wrist, where the delta is frequently present. Next is the levels of palm. First is the distal side. Distal side is towards of our fingertips. Next is the proximal side towards the rings. This one. Radial side is the study of fingerprint pattern, where a loop is shown having ridges flowing towards the radius bone or the time side. And the ulnar side is towards the side of ulna bone, where the little finger rests. Next, podoscopy. It is the science of footprints identification, which derives from the Greek word podo, which means the foot, and escopine, which means to examine. In podoscopy, we have the footprint pattern. which are ballpoint, plantar pattern, calcar zone, tibial side, and tubular side. The ballpoint that is found below the base of the big toe. The plantar pattern is the space below the base of the 4-letter toes beside the ball zone. Next, the calcar zone. It is the pattern located at the heel. At the heel, tibial side is the area of tibial bone, which the side of the foot where the big toe is located. Tubular side is located on the little toe side of the foot, just below the plantar zone and thread area, which is lying between the ball point and the calcar zone. Next is poroscopy. Poroscopy is the science of fingerprinting, which deals with the study of pore structure. It was derived from the Greek word poros, which means a pore, and endoscopy, which means to examine. So in other words, it is the fine examination of the sweat pores, which found on the papillary or friction lid of the skin. For the purpose of identification also involves a comparative study of the pores that visible in the impression left at the site of a crime and in the fingerprints of an identified person. The last is the edgeoscopy. It is the study of the edges of the ridges and the various shapes, which this term is applied to the study of the characteristic form by the side or edges of papillary ridges as means of identification. In edgeoscopy, we have 7 characteristics, which are straight, concave, convex, table, peak, pocket, and angle. Next, the layer of the skin. The skin is composed of 3 layers: the epidermal or dermis layer, dermal papillae or dermis, and the dermis is connected to underlying structures of subcutaneous tissue. The third layer is the hypodermis. The epidermis is the outer covering the skin, which provides barrier and protection, which consists mainly of the protein keratin, a top and waters of insoluble structure protein. The dermis is the inner layer of the skin containing blood vessels, erectophyty muscles, subcutaneous glands, sweat glands, and nerves, which constitute the bulk of the skin and is provide support and flexibility. And the dermis consists mainly of collagen and to a lesser extent the elastin fibers, loss of collagen and elastin such as aging that cause the skin of slack. And the hypodermis. The hypodermis is the inner layer of the skin that also contains blood vessels, connective tissue, and this is where most of the body fat is restored. The hypodermis provides thermal insulation, padding, and serve as the body main energy storage. In epidermis, there are 6 types of layer that are found. First is the stratum corneum layer. It's the outer layer of the epidermis. Second is the stratum mucosum layer. It's the layer immediately beneath the covering layer. Third is the stratum lucidum, which is present in thick skin such as lip, soles of feet, palms of hands, where little or no cell is visible. Fourth is stratum granulosum, which consists of 3 to 4 layers of cell thick, consisting of flattened keratinocytes at this level of the cell, are dying. Stratum spinosum consists of keratinocyte, which is referred to as living layers. Last is the stratum basal. It's a single layer of cells which is in contact with the basement membrane. These cells are mitotocally active, alive, and reproducing. The most cells of epidermis are keratin-producing cells or keratinocytes, wherein these cells are constantly produced by mitotic cell division in the stratum basal. They are moved towards the skin surface as they age and differentiate, changing shape from colloidal. To is a distinction in epidermal layers is the different stages of keratinocyte. Differentiation from the principle of permanency, which is are unchanging or constant from their birth to their death or until the composition of the body of the person. Next is the stratum spinosum layer. Is characterized by the presence of abundant demosomes which connect keratin filaments of adjacent cell, anchoring them together by providing resistance to physical stress. Next is the stratum granulosum. Is loaded with keratohyalin granules, which these granules release several substances that cross-link keratin filament, converting them into an impermeable keratin matrix. This process is known as the cornification or keratinization, the result of the most superficial layer, the stratum corneum layer. This stratum corneum layer is a dead cells from the skin barrier, which in this epidermal layer, the desquamation process will occur or happens, which is the natural process in which skin cells are created, sloughed away, and replaced, which cells are shed or peeling periodically from the surface as the new cells moving off. The entire epidermis is replaced every 30 to 40 days. The renewal process becomes slower with age but faster in injured skin, wherein cells proliferation is accelerated for wound healing.
I hope you learned something today. Thank you.